Is it streaming?
Hola.
Hola, hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. So happy to be here with you. We
We
are live.
we are live on the Latina professionals, Latinas stepping fully into their power. Thank you for being here today. And Latinas often wait for permission from others, from circumstances, even from ourselves. Today we take back that power. Today we give ourselves permission to step fully into our power and rise unapologetically. Welcome, Claudia Romo Edelman, CEO of We Are All Human Foundation, a nonprofit that has partnered with over 300 companies and 1,000 Hispanic organizations in media outlets to elevate the U.S. Latino narrative. She is a host of a La Latina podcast, and Claudia has led marketing communications for the United Nations, UNICEF. She played a key role launching the Sustainable Development Goals SDG Lions at Cannes and Project Red. Claudia is an international speaker. She has been given talks to Google and Amazon. She's an author, columnist, has published bilingual children books with Macmillan, and she was named one of the Time magazine's top 17 Hispanics of 2024. She received the Ellis Island Medal of Honor, Alpha's 50th Most Powerful Latinas and Mexicanos Distinguidos, and just this month, she received our highest award for her national life's work of advancing our community. She was awarded the 2025 LP Plus Latinas Professionals Plus LEDC National Impact Award. Claudia, thank you for being here. We are Latina professionals. Love you. You're an inspiration, and we hope we can continue working together and making a space and making an impact for our community.
And I love Latina professionals. And I love the opportunity to be here with you, Isaura. And thank you so much for the award that you gave me, the opportunity to be with you in Omaha and Nebraska. And honestly, I think that if I look back 10 years ago when I started thinking, should I do the World Human Foundation? Should I get into Latinos? My space and what I started thinking is if I could make a difference for one ambitious Latina professional that is struggling, that doesn't find, like the role models that she needs, that doesn't have the playbooks that are necessary, so you can do it in half the time, in half the bruises. And if I can bring her network, then it's worth doing it. And in your community, I found so much feedback and input saying like, yes, it's working. Yes, you're inspiring me. Yes, you're giving me courage. So I love you guys.
And it's every day that we see you sharing actual numbers, sharing data of the impact that we're making as Latinos in the US and in the world, and changing that narrative of what it's coming for the future. So, talking about and anything that you've done, everything that you've done through your career, you've done groundbreaking initiatives like RED and the United Nations Sustainable Development. Can you share a moment during that journey that you nearly stopped and you said, I can do it? Can you share an experience, anything that you can think of?
In a moment, I said, I cannot do it.
You were like about to stop, but you did it.
Yeah, I mean, my entire life has been defined by no's. By no, you can't do that. No, you're not supposed to be doing that. No, it's impossible. No. And I can tell you, I mean, like at the end of the day, I think that because I was maybe naturally, I was born in a family that had three kids. My parents had three kids, and I was the only survivor. My two siblings died, and I was the middle one. My two siblings died within, like within they were 18 months, both of them. So I grew up under the microscope, and people were telling me like, "Wow, um, you're surviving. You're strong. You're pretty strong." And I grew up thinking I can do anything. I was able to defeat death. So it's those stories that we give ourselves about what's possible and who is going to be telling you where the sky is the limit, like where the limit is. The sky is the limit for all of us. So I would say that in my career, in my life. I left Mexico 30 years ago and lived in Europe for 20 years in a German speaking country, like completely different mentality, different rules without speaking the language. And then, like it's been a transformation of the from the no to the yes. I think that I want to give you an example that is probably not professional. Um, I moved as a Mexican to Switzerland, and literally I was the only one, probably the only Mexican that a lot of people just met, right? Like, wow. And so I was coming from my work to negotiate, I don't know, whatever, refugee issues or something. And I literally just saw the imaginary pineapple growing at the top of my head with someone just like thinking, ah, rumba, exotic, whatever, like what, it didn't matter what I was saying. They were just seeing someone alien, someone completely different. And um, with that in mind, I started saying like, well, I'm gonna get to know this country better, and I started skiing, but not normal skiing because it was scary. I was too old to learn how to ski, so I started doing cross country ski, so flat skiing. And I remember that I said, "Oh, there's a marathon for skiers. I'm gonna try that." And the first day that I went to ski to try the skis, I asked a Swiss guy who was, like skiing there. I said, like, "Wow, I will do a marathon. Have you done a marathon?" I feel like there is no way that in your lifetime you will be able to do a ski marathon because you're new. This is the first time. It takes so many years and so on. And I remember that was a time in which I decided, oh, I was not even considering doing a marathon. Seriously, I will do a marathon. And I totally got into registering to that marathon and I beat him. That guy, I remember actually that I picked his name and I was like, I went faster than you. Like I didn't say anything, but those are the things where I would encourage anyone to take the no as a fire in your belly, to turn it into a yes, and to understand that no one but yourself puts the limit of what is possible.
Exactly. And you owned your power. So what what did that experience teach you about owning your power and giving yourself permission to lead? Did
I
it
mean,
lead?
exactly. And that's why I love the topic of the conversation to today, which is we ourselves have the permission slip. Like we're the ones that are drawing it, we're the ones that are signing it. So pretty much we just have to be conscious that the permission to lead comes from little boxes that like we get ourselves, cultural boxes, cultural barriers, social barriers, personal barriers that we have to be able to identify and dismantle. um, if the cultural barriers for a lot of Latinas is calladita te ves más bonita, don't rock the boat, like don't do that, like don't go far away from your family, all these cultural barriers, then you have to really reflect on them and say like, do I really think that calladita I'm gonna look better? Or am I gonna look better if I feel happy and fulfilled? And if that is the case, then you can pack your root belief and give it back with a lot of respect and say like that probably was the case in a different generation, not today, not to me, thank you. And the same with the social norms or the personal barriers that we don't realize, the voices that we have internally, the voices that prevent you from, like that, the narratives that are telling you one story and it's time to flip the script. And through that flipping the script, you give yourself permission to be who you want to be and do what you want to do. Because there's one thing that I can tell you, Isaura, Latinas, particularly today in America, we're powering prosperity, power, and progress in this country. We can do anything. We are generating
Amazing.
small and medium businesses 18 times faster than any other group in America, making us the job creator number one in the country. We generate more than $800 billion a year in this country. So here's your permission. Take that data and remember that we are powerful and we need to be able to adopt and exercise and exert that power without having to feel ashamed of being powerful and influential.
And not ashamed of being powerful and influential just as women, but also within the male dominated worlds. Like, for example, you worked on global leadership spaces like UNICEF and the World Economic Forum. How did your Latina identity shaped how you showed up to those specific groups?
If I would have known what I know today, I would have helped the bruises. Um, Doing the podcast A la Latina, the playbook to succeed in your authentic self, where we interview the most, we interview Latinas that are in corporate America in the C-suite in the Fortune 500 company. That's it. It's a very narrow spectrum, but I learned so much that, like at the end of the day, your Latinidad, your identity is your superpower. And I tried everything. I tried to hide it. I tried to overplay it. I tried to, like but it is so important for me to say to anyone that is listening, avoid, do it in half the time you have the bruises by learning from the people that are sharing their playbook, by getting role models, and by getting in the room where it happens. There are resources like these conversations where you can get it. I tell you, a La Latina podcast, and we're in conversations with Rafael about making a La Latina for Latina professionals, and
That'll be
use those use those resources. Use those resources where you can learn from each other so that you don't have to do the mistakes that they did, so you don't have to cry so many times as we did, and so on. So for me, my Latinidad was hard when I moved to the US. I did not know, and I did not know how powerful we are, how many we are. Like I felt rejected in when I tried to play my Latinidad, like, and I actually stocked up a lot. So when I started dating my now husband, and he took me to spaces where people didn't not necessarily realize I was Latina, and they were making racist comments. They were, like, or they were telling me, "Oh, you're Mexican. Go to the kitchen. Those are all the Mexicans." And
goodness.
like I got down. Me dice chiquita,
Sí.
instead of actually owning it and telling them with a lot of respect and a lot of love that it is Latinas that are driving America's growth. That it is, but with a lot of respect, right? Like with a lot of understanding and sympathy, because no one really wants to be aggressive. So I think that if I could avoid for any Latina the pain, the pain that it feels to feel rejected, to feel that you're not enough, by listening to others early on, just go and do it. A La Latina podcast is one resource. There's plenty of them out there.
Yes, and going back to what you were sharing earlier about Calladita te ves más bonita, it's a great example what you were saying of being Mexican and vete a la cocina, Through these experiences that you had, have you had to change any cultural patterns, cultural beliefs that were inherited from generations past you?
Look, for example, yes, yes. I mean, like, I think that you try, if you don't bring them to conscious, if you're not clear about what your identity brings to the table, and you let the narratives tell you what they are, you think that, for example, things like your accent is better for you to try to hide it. I started actually taking English classes for, to diminish my accent until I started learning, particularly in my, like in my interactions with people that I later interviewed in the podcast, that when when you have an accent, it doesn't mean that you're less competent or less professional or less, intelligent. It literally means that you speak two languages, that you're bilingual. And when you make that simple flip the script of, wait, of course, I wanted to diminish my accent so that people don't think I'm stupid. But in reality, it's not that they think that. Maybe I just have to correct them. I just have to share with them that I speak six languages. I'm not a fool. I have an
Exactly.
accent because I'm, like multilingual and multicultural, and therefore they see me with respect. They see that I can speak to many different groups. Anyone that has an accent has the opportunity to probably address bigger audiences, and probably is good at negotiation, probably is good at sales. And actually, when you start learning more about, bilingualism, you realize that the back of your brain is even more equipped than others, and that you are probably more wired to adapt to change. And so then when you know all of that, when you know, wow, my accent means that I'm bilingual or multilingual, bicultural, I'm probably good at international deals, I'm probably good at negotiation, I am adaptable, and also I'm unshakable because the part of my brain that is wired is moving faster and nothing is going to stop to me. Then you stand differently when you own your accent. And so I think that those are the cultural beliefs and the internal narratives that we have to be, like understanding where, what are the things that are stopping you, and are those cultural beliefs helping you or putting you down, and do you need to readdress them and re-understand them so that, like they can become, again, flipping the script, moving them from fear or stereotype to facts and to truth.
And it's what you're doing every day with the different platforms and all of your social media. And I'm sure a lot of the audience that is listening to us right now, seeing us, has gone through something similar. I went through that with my accent as well at the beginning of my career here. So definitely I relate to all of the experiences that you've had. um you built many platforms like We Are All Human Foundation, the Hispanic Star. And how can initiatives like this help turn personal self doubt into shared strength and leadership?
I have worked in social change my entire life. I haven't done anything else. I literally just do that, right? Like this is what I know how to do. I'm a marketer, and I'm a marketer for social change. And so I've done that literally for every single one of my jobs after being a journalist. And so I'm a diplomat, but I was doing that for the Mexican government with the same intention. But I, I 100% think that the the initiatives that we have at the World Human Foundation and the Hispanic Star can help Latinas quiet the self doubt to a degree that it is under control, and to the degree that you're able to understand, not only with the head, but with the heart and with every one of your cells, that this is our time. Like, if I am able to inspire someone to feel that they can dream big, that they can, like start letting their wings grow and grow and grow, and they can fly as far as they can, because if I just share with you the data, then you're going to move from, like being in the darkness or having a distorted mirror where you're seeing yourself small, to see yourself on the real size, which is gigantic. And when you're able to pause and stop and say, like, wait a second, so Latinas are gigantic. Latinas are the job generator number one in the country. Latinas succeed in being entrepreneurs. Why wouldn't I? How come wouldn't I? And when you start looking at the examples of, like not only being able to feel inspired, but feel that you can absorb that internally, that size of your dreams, you start realizing the responsibility that you have towards playing the role that this country needs you to play. This country needs 20% of the population to feel like leaders and act, like with the values that we have: hardworking, optimistic, just palante, moving forward. But we do have a responsibility to keep on educating ourselves and giving the best that we have. And when okay, I have big wings and I have big responsibility, the last piece is, don't do it alone. Hold hands with other Latinos, open the door for each other. There is no one seat at the table, because there's no table. There's only a country full of opportunities for every one of us if we support each other. So get the access code, train yourself to be able to get the access code, and then share the access code with others. And remember that you have two hands that God gave you, one to pull up, but the other one to pull someone with you. Because if we don't do that, it's going to be by far longer for all of us. So I hope that the World Human Foundation and Hispanic Star does just that, allow you to dream big, putting to you the responsibilities that you have for your country, and be able to do it united.
I love it. I love it because it is true. We are paving the pathways for newer generations, pero también we need that other person that is gonna pull us out. Continue the chain, la cadenita de ayuda entre todos nosotros. I love it, Claudia, and you do it every day. What
But you know what,
daily
if I
practices do
may,
you? Yes,
If
go
I
for
may,
it.
before moving from here, this is something that it's very personal. You know, I never worked in things that were so personal like this. I worked on AIDS or tuberculosis or malaria or maternal mortality or, like Africa was my specialty, a war, and so doing this for my community is a gift. I get inspired myself and so much that I'm taking risk myself. Like myself, I am, like I'm tippy-toeing from I was trained to be a co-pilot. It was hard for me to become a pilot of my own reality when I left the United Nations and I set up the World Human Foundation, and I was petrified, right? Like I was like, am I gonna be able to do it? I've never been, like a social entrepreneur on my own, and then, like I went into the space, and this space has given me so much inspiration and so much back, because the stories that I get back from people like you that say, like, you helped me, you inspired me. What you're doing is working, is inspiring so much that I'm ready to take another risk and another step. I'm becoming an entrepreneur. And like planning to launch my family business brand in January of Sotol Romo, a
Oh,
completely new
felicidades.
venture. Claro, a completely new venture that, like in a way, I wouldn't have done if I wouldn't have if I wouldn't feel that my community has my back.
And it's talking about helping each other, right? Because you felt like, I've done it, now I can continue to the next level. Is what we want for the rest of us, because como un escaloncito, escalando poco a poco, or else you would have not probably done beginning to be an entrepreneur. That's a perfect
Right.
of helping each other. I love it. And felicidades. Best of luck. We want to hear about it. Let us know, and we'll definitely support as well, because supporting,
Yes.
is what we have with each other. Talking about all of this amazing experiences, do you have any daily practices, mindsets, rituals that have helped you that can help other Latinas, for example, to build resilience or self leadership? Especially like you that have been in demanding international roles, because I'm sure in that audience right now we have different Latinas from different professional levels, some that are starting, probably some others that are already in the C-suite. So do you have anything that you can share with us?
I am a creature of routines. I'm very systematic. I have practices, rituals, like I care dramatically about that because I want to achieve so much that if I wouldn't be like hyper organized, as in like chin, 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 and routinary, it wouldn't happen. So I exercise 5 times a day. I wake up at 6:30 Monday through Friday. I like 6:15. I am exercising at 6:30. And then I go and I me pongo bonita, no? I take a shower and I put myself nicely, even during COVID, because then I know I'm ready for the world. And that's my daily routine. And then the rest of the time, I'm an 80-20 believer. So 80% of the time, I try to be, like on plan, and, like I try to eat properly 80% of the time. 80% of my calendar is planned, everything in that. And then the 20% extra is for things that I didn't foresee, things that I wanted to eat during the week or I couldn't, or, like that I was saving a moment. So that gives me a sense of balance. So having an 80-20 mentality, having a routine where it starts with the same piece every day so that I feel I have things under control. If I remove myself from those pieces, then I, like for example, exercise for me is key because I feel that it's my anchor. I have that. I know that no matter what, I will exercise. And it doesn't matter if things are really hard. And so when you're able to anchor yourself on pieces that give you peace and that are good for you anyways, I do it. I try I try to be grateful to the things that I did in the day. Not every time I manage. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna try to be grateful. Oh, but I have to do this and I have to do, like life intervened. But the other thing that really helps me is to be able to see, be grateful, and then say thank you at the end of every day.
That is awesome. And yes, I see you exercising everywhere you are, even if you're traveling. That is inspirational. And so, if every Latina watching today gave herself permission to lead fully, what kind of change or legacy could that spark for our community and future generations?
Jesus Christ, that's it. That's what I really want everybody to do because we are going to be the last generation of Latinas that is not fully seen, fully respected, and fully paid. You need to know that. If we do that, then the next gen is going to have it with the aspirations, with the opportunities, because we, in so many occasions, we're the transitional generation. We are the first one that is able to go to college, maybe the first one to go into a corporate job, maybe the first one that is able to even dream of proper wealth, because our ancestors, most likely, they sacrificed it all. You saw them
We did.
coming, your parents with bleeding hands, 2 to 3 jobs to give you the chances that you have now. So if we are able to dream big, we're just saying thank you for their sacrifices. We're just paying back what they did. So it's an obligation for us to understand that our job is just to finish the job. They did the hard part. We just have to finish the job so that the next generation is able to come and run the world pretty much, like us, and like get their wings as far as they can and get to the places where we need to be, which is on the top of, like our industries, of our country, of our dreams.
That is amazing. That is so true. We have still communities within the US where we have younger girls where the parents still work in ag jobs, and seeing us women like you being up in the top, it's so inspirational. And definitely we will see one day, hopefully, a Latina president of the United States. Not a Latino, a Latina.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So if you could whisper one sentence to every Latina battling self doubt, what would it be?
I would say there are two things, but the first one is just to remember that America is made of stars and we Hispanics, we are one of them. You belong. It's there. We are, Latinos are stars. And the other sentence is related to data. And I'm going to finish with this because those are my two favorite numbers. I want you to remember um, the number of the most common age of Latinos. Can you tell me, Saura, what do you think is the most common age of 65 million Latinos today? Not the average, not the median, the most common age. What do you think is the most common age of Latinos today?
Common age, I would say between 40 to 60 average.
Okay, so the most common age of Latinos today is 17.
Wow.
The most common age of Latinos is 17. What do you think? What do you think is the most common age of non-Latinos?
Hmm. Around the same number, perhaps.
Okay, the most common age of non-Latinos is 63. So every time that you have self-doubt, I just want you to remember those two numbers. 1763. We have 4 decades of being the
Yes.
prosperity, power, and progress. There's no way that a company can hire without us. There's no way a company can sell without us. There's no way the politician can win an election without us, just because we're the youngest of all by far, by 4 decades. So every time you feel self-doubt, that you feel small, remember that the data is just so incredible that you just have to remember those data points. Those two numbers, 1763. I hope that it gives you a sense of like, wow,
Gave you like
okay, whatever, whatever.
I'm not 17, but I'm still in that number. So definitely we all can make,
Exactly.
like you said earlier, educate ourselves, get a mentor, get into this groups, join these talks like today. And to close this amazing conversation, inspirational, what are your top tres consejos for Latinas that feel like they don't belong or that they are not enough?
I would 100% say that La Latinidad is like being your authentic self is the best and most important career advice that you can get. It's not a cliche, it's a reality because once you take into consideration the data and being your authentic self is getting into the superwoman, like, like costume. We're so powerful, just embrace it. And also, when you embrace who you are, you're by far more powerful. So, number one is be your authentic self as a career, as the best career advice that you can have. Number two is turn the no's into yeses. Latinas, we are optimistic. We're not only optimistic, we're possibilistic because we know it's possible. So turn them immediately into a yes. And the number three is literally just like hold each other. My grandmother would say that there's a special place in heaven for Latinas that support each other. So let's make sure that we're holding hands and walking the fine line together.
Wow. I mean, that is so true. That is so true. Thank you very much, Claudia. Again,
Of
we are Latina
course.
professionals. We love you. You're an inspiration for many of us, for the younger girls, for the older girls, for all of us Latinas. Thank you for being the only one many times and being resilient, for being a role model, and for continuing impacting and making a change in this country. We hope to partner, continue collaborating together with the podcast and many more opportunities. And just give us a like if you loved it. Make comments. Let us know what you thought about this conversation. And we hope to see you soon at our next live talks and Latina Professionals. De nuevo, Claudia, un abrazote. Te queremos mucho. Besos. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Adiós.
Bye, gracias.